Hello everybody, Diana here, and welcome back to my series, Hormone Imbalances for Simple Weight Loss. This video is going to be covering the hormone adiponectin. Don't you just like the way that sounds? Just rolls off the tongue. Adiponectin. Can you say it with me? Adiponectin. Okay, what the hell is it? Adiponectin is the hormone that tells your body to burn off fat for energy. And one thing that they've learned is that the leaner a person is, the more adiponectin they have. Adiponectin will increase your muscle's ability to turn carbohydrates into energy. This in turn will increase your metabolism. It increases the fat breakdown rate, and it also decreases appetite. So, well, if thin people have a high amount of adiponectin, clearly overweight people don't. So there's a large body of studies that show that the more adiponectin that you have in your body, the more fat that you'll burn and the faster you'll burn it. So what does that mean for overweight people? It means we want more adiponectin. In fact, research has linked a lack of adiponectin to obesity. I don't believe that there's any one single cause for the obesity epidemic. I believe there's a lot of things. But if there's one thing that connects almost all of the people that are obese, that is adiponectin. In fact, there's one doctor who is Dr. Leo Galland. He's the director of the Foundation for Integrated Medicine. He says, and I quote, "A lack of adequate adiponectin is emerging as a significant factor in people's inability to melt flab and stay thin." So this is huge for people that are overweight. One really frustrating thing here for people that are overweight is that the more body fat you have, the less adiponectin you have. So this is the culprit for slow weight loss, if any, in the beginning of a weight loss journey. And when I'm reading and learning these different things, I've discovered that this was probably a huge, huge factor for me. If you've heard any of my stories before, then you know that all these diets that I tried, I didn't lose weight on any single one of them. Not one. In fact, for some of them, I gained weight. So I'm pretty convinced that this was a huge factor. And I did tip the scale to obese. But even before I became obese, I was working diets and taking skinny pills and just wasn't losing anything. So I believe that this was the reason why. There's a number of people when they work some sort of a program, they're losing weight and it's just coming off so very slow, and then they might level out somewhere. Adiponectin just might be the villain behind all that. So let's figure out how to increase the level of adiponectin. Because the wonderful thing is, we can do it. One of the things that you want to do is you want to add monounsaturated fats. So this is like olives, avocados, and their oils. I love using the avocado oil because it doesn't really change the flavor of my food. So if I'm going to fry my potatoes in a frying pan, I'll throw in the avocado oil. It works like oil. It's oil. And it doesn't affect the flavor of my potatoes. And it's super loaded with monounsaturated fat. So very good for you. So that's one thing that we can do is we can significantly increase the amount of the monounsaturated fats that we're taking in. Again, one of the things that you can do for oils that you generally use at home, you can just switch them out. Sometimes it's just about switching out brands. Read the labels and see how much monounsaturated fat and saturated fat that your oil has. By the way, if you've got any kind of oil that has trans fat in it, get rid of it. You can change it out for another oil, a wonderful oil that has no trans fat. Trans fat is a man-made fat. Who the hell wants that? Blah. We want food. So sometimes it might just be, you can just change brands and you'll find that you have a higher amount of the monounsaturated fat. But typically it's about changing the kind of oils that you use. Now, we're not talking about like deep frying stuff. Of course you can use it, but it's kind of expensive. I pay like $10 a bottle for my avocado oil. I'm not going to deep fry in that. For myself, when I deep fry, I use peanut oil. But you can change your oils. Like I said, the olive oil, and then there's avocado oil. And there's actually a number of other oils too that are really high in monounsaturated fat. You can click the link below, go to my website, and find the article on food fats that are good for you. And there I've got a chart, and it lays out how much, monounsaturated fat, polyunsaturated fat, and saturated fat each of the different types of oils have. So you can go through that list and look through and make selections. So when you go to change the kind of oils that you're using, you can go to the store with a list of like 5 or 6 options and see what they've got available, and make sure you can grab something healthy. So that's a good way to increase the oil. And like whether you're cooking, frying, salads, even if you're going to use ranch dressing or French dressing or something, when you make a salad, throw on a tablespoon of the avocado oil or the olive oil, toss it in, and then put your dressing on. You're really not going to taste the difference, but you're going to be adding in all that really super healthy monounsaturated fat that's going to increase your adiponectin, which is going to increase your body's ability to burn fat. Another thing that you want to increase in your diet is magnesium. So you want to, kick up the amount of magnesium that you have in your diet, eat a lot more of that, and you're going to find that in things like seeds, and green leafy vegetables like spinach, kale. These are super good. I would say seaweed. Most people don't like that, especially when you have to rehydrate it, and it's just very strong. And if you want to take a supplement with magnesium, I'm not really huge on doing things like this, but if you want to do that in the beginning, okay, do it in the beginning. But just kind of like gradually increase that supplementation to where you're taking, whatever it is every day, and then gradually decrease it. But you definitely want to make sure that you're putting in seeds and leafy greens. And if you can do that on a daily basis, that means you can help to increase your adiponectin daily. So that's just going to help. It's just going to do wonders. Another way that we can increase our adiponectin, and this is significant, this acts significantly on your levels of adiponectin, and that is to fast once a week. Now, before we go on this stupid craze, doing the whole 5-2 diet and intermittent fasting and everything like that, slow down. Studies have shown that fasting once a week is good. Fasting 1 day a week will help to flush out your body. It will help to increase your levels of adiponectin. It just does all sorts of wonders for you. Yes, and it can help you to actually speed up the rate at which you lose weight because it's increasing your adiponectin. Now, the question is, if 1 day a week is good, is 2 days better? No. We're Americans and we think with that mentality. If a little is good, then more is better. Well, a little cheese is good for you, but if you say I need 3 pounds of cheese over the course of a day, you're just going to have a mess over the next week that you're not going to want to deal with. So, no, it's not always more is better. I am so down with that whole intermittent fasting diet because what happens is when you fast once a week, you're going to cause an increase in your metabolic rate. When you fast 2 times a week, 2 days out of the week, ultimately, you're going to decrease your metabolic rate. So you're just only going to injure yourself, and you're just going to defeat losing weight for good. You only lose weight a whole lot faster in the beginning, but when you slow down your metabolic rate, what's going to happen is your brain's going to increase your fat set point. Sooner or later, you're going to gain back all that weight that you lost, and you're going to gain back more. So if you lose 90 pounds, you're going to gain back 150. Don't do this to yourself. So if you're going to utilize this fasting to increase your adiponectin and speed along your ability to lose weight, then fast 1 day a week. Just one. Okay, no more than that. There's no study that shows that you get more benefits by fasting more. But there are a number of studies that show when you decrease that much food over the course of a week, you're going to slow down your metabolic rate, you're going to screw up all sorts of hormones in your body because your brain is going to increase its fat set point, and it's going to send these signals out to just make the situation worse. So don't do that. Fast once a week. Also, another way to increase your adiponectin is to lose weight. So when you're putting together these other things, you're adding these other foods that are going to help to increase your adiponectin. the adiponectin will go up a little bit, then you lose a little more weight. Then it goes up a little bit more and you lose a little more weight. It goes up a little more and you lose a little more weight. As you're losing weight, as your adiponectin is going, as you're losing weight, your adiponectin is getting higher and higher. Plus you're doing these other things to make it higher and higher. So it's actually going to get to the point where it's just going to perpetuate your weight loss. So the weight loss might look kind of like this, goes kind of slow, and then it starts speeding up again. And that's just going to be beautiful, right? Ooh, how motivating is that? We're just like, yes, I'm going to make it to the finish line. Okay, so now let's cover exercise. Does exercise help with increasing the levels of adiponectin in our body? And I'm going to say yes, it does. Now, if you discover that you have a problem with your insulin and you're figuring you also have a problem with your adiponectin. With insulin, you're going to want to increase your daily activity, right? For adiponectin, you're going to want to increase your daily activity also. So increasing your daily activity is going to help to nail out two factors here, the adiponectin and the insulin. What we're looking at doing, again, is not like high intensity hour to 3 hours a day, kill yourself and tear up your muscles. We're talking about daily activity. So walk around the block. Take a walk somewhere, or march in place watching your favorite YouTubers, watching your favorite YouTube videos, march in place while you're watching, the news channel, watching your news, or watching a favorite television show, whatever. Work that in, and we're looking at about 10 to 15 minutes a day. If you could do it twice a day, all the better. Maybe 10 minutes earlier in the day and 10 minutes later in the day. Not too late. You don't want to make yourself all wide awake before you go to bed. I would say no later than about a half hour after dinner. I wouldn't do it any later than that. So add this in as daily activity, so something that you're going to do every day. And you want to make it simple so that you can keep doing it for the rest of your life. So if you decide to make it as simple as marching in place while you're watching your favorite YouTube videos, that you're going to be able to do for the rest of your life, because YouTube is just going to take off. Television, I don't know if that's going to stick around for too long. Okay, so we'll recap what we can do to increase our levels of adiponectin. Fasting 1 day a week, not 2, not any others, no intermittent fasting diet garbage. Fasting 1 day a week if you want to. And that fasting can also just be simply just eat just vegetables for that day. And that still is kind of like your body's going to read that as a fast. So that'll help. You also want to increase your levels of magnesium, seeds, green leafy vegetables. Spinach, kale, and whatever green, green leaf lettuce, whatever green you see in your produce, green leafy that you see in your produce department. And also your monounsaturated fats. This is going to be another big thing. Olive oil, avocado oil. Like I said before, click on the link to my website. You'll find the article, Healthy Fats, and there is a chart right there on my website that you can look and see all the different oils that are really high in monounsaturated fat. So you can have a choice. You don't have to be stuck with just olives and avocados. And moving more during the day is another thing that you can do to increase your adiponectin. So increasing your daily activity levels. Again, you're going to walk around the block. Just take some kind of a walk. Or march in place while you're watching YouTube. So these are the steps that you can take to increase your level of adiponectin and increase your ability to burn calories and burn fat and get to your goal weight faster. How simple is that? Simple. I love simple. So now if you know anybody at all who's overweight, and I know you do because we all do, since nearly 70% of America is overweight. So knowing anybody who's overweight, please click that share button. You don't want to offend anybody, so maybe don't share to one person specifically. Just share to your whole Facebook or tweet or whatever it is. So click share the information. And if you want to stay tuned for more hormones for simple weight loss, make sure you click subscribe to follow me. I've also got a very interesting video coming up on exercise. And does exercise really work for weight loss or not? If so, what kind? That's going to be coming up soon too. It's going to be pretty interesting stuff. So make sure you click subscribe, click share, and I'll see you next time.